It is exactly 14 after 8 o'clock this cold Monday morning here in Johannesburg. This is News and Views. Thank you for joining us. Let's get our first guest on air. And he is, of course, political analyst, Professor Breakfast, Ntsikelelo Breakfast. And we are going to be talking about the DA and the GNU. Will they be walking away from national dialogue? And of course, this comes hot on the heels of the DA feeling very hard done by over the firing of one of its deputy ministers. And they go on to say that they will not leave the government of national unity or table a motion of no confidence against President Ramaphosa, at least for now. But they also have gone on to say that they will be withdrawing from a national dialogue scheduled for August to tackle the country's problems. And of course, this as tensions escalated over Ramaphosa's sacking of Deputy Trade, Industry and Competition Minister Andrew Whitfield for traveling to the United States without the president's approval. Morning. Welcome to the program, Professor Breakfast. Lovely to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Okay, so what is the current situation? How do you suppose the DA will move on from here regarding the sacking of Deputy Minister Whitfield?
Like I said, on a different platform, that in the beginning, when the story broke, I did sympathize with the DA in terms of their main line of argument. I thought there was merit in that you can't apply double standards because there are questionable characters in the executive institution, which is the cabinet, though the deputy minister is not part of the executive. But that's not the issue. The issue is that you have a person who has gone elsewhere without the knowledge of the president, or with the knowledge of the president, but without the authorization. And therefore, the president has fired him. I don't think that is the reason for firing this person. There might be other reasons. So that's a department that he was in is very strategic in terms of the implementation of a triple DE, small, micro, medium enterprise, issues of transformation. So the question is, did you question transformation as an agenda of government, or did you question corruption? I think the devil is in the detail. Now, what beats me now is the way forward that the DA is outlining. It is not coherent. It is not well structured, because they are saying, this is what came out of the press conference. They are saying that, one, they're going to withdraw from the national dialogue, which is upcoming. I don't think they're saying that. So that is a warning shot. They're giving us a warning shot, but they're not honest, in my opinion. I don't think that they wanted to participate in that in the first place, because let's face it, debates of that nature, they normally come down to issues of race. For instance, if you're going to debate why do you have poverty, why do you have unemployment, why do you have inequality, then the question is going to be, but do these things have a color? Yes, they have a color, because the majority of people who are poor, who are on the margins of the economy are black. And I think the DA doesn't like those racial issues, because they say they're colorblind and people. But I've got another view about that. So I don't think that they wanted to be part of that. Now, the second option now, or the second way forward that they are sort of like putting forward, is that they might institute a motion of no confidence against the president. Now, here is the paradox. On the one hand, they say they've put this idea on hold as of now. Why? Because it might make the GNU collapse, and the EFF and the NK will rise to prominence and take the spotlight, join forces with the ANC, constitute a government. On the other hand, they say when the president does not give in to the demands, then they are going to institute this motion of no confidence against it. But you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. Do you want to walk out of this GNU? Yes or no? Why do you say now that you can't initiate this thing because the NK and the EFF are going to work with the ANC, but later on you say that you might do it. I don't understand that argument.
Okay, let's just go back to their initial statement suggesting that obviously they could table a motion of no confidence against the president. At least for now, they're holding back on that. We're not quite certain as yet what the actual reason is for the firing of Whitfield. There's also suggestions that he had expressed concern about the awarding of the lotto tender to someone close to or linked to the deputy president. Do you think that could be one of the reasons? Could it be because the DA is trying to hone in on corrupt politicians? And, we know that the president is not squeaky clean either. The Pala Pala scandal has still not been put to bed. He hasn't answered fully on that matter. So there are these things in the background as well that one wonders who is covering up for whom. We still have lots of corruption in the highest of places. Professor?
Yes, I'm here. So that's why in the beginning, when I entered this conversation, I was very careful in terms of how I framed my argument, that it is not quite clear what
Yes.
Andrew did. I fully concur with you on
Exactly.
that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. So therefore we can't be simplistic and say that. And I don't want to be unfavorable. So we can't be simplistic and say that. No, but if you
right.
If you go to this country or that country without the approval of the president, therefore he has the right to let go of you as someone who's part of his team. It's not as simple as that, because but also I think he made a mistake as well, Andrew Whitfield, by apologizing. Though I understand why he did that, because he might have apologized, right, for strategic reasons. Sometimes, in the workplace, you don't want to cross swords with your line manager, and then you apologize, not because you are at fault. You just want the problem to go away. But now that apology is being used against you, but you did apologize, therefore you know that you are wrong. But I don't think that's the reason why he was fired. So, but I want to be careful now. I don't want to be, because now we are maneuvering in the domain of speculation. So that's why I'm still sticking to my guns. It is not quite clear why he was let go. So, but still, there are two possibilities. One, it might have happened that he was questioning corruption. I agree with that. Corruption is rampant. I agree. We have the culture of allocating tenders to friends. That is true. But in this context, I'm not quite sure. Or the other possibility, maybe he was questioning transformation. Maybe the GA doesn't agree with that. But so between the two,
And I guess in defense of the president's action in this matter, my husband and I were having a discussion, and I said, perhaps, just perhaps, we know that some DA members had gone on overseas trips and they had caused a lot of lots of harm to South Africa. We know how Trump had reacted to those allegations that AfriForum and certain DA members had caused when they visited the US and the UK. So perhaps Cyril Ramaphosa acted from that platform, thinking that if Whitfield, thinking that he might have caused damage by meeting with congressmen and other politicians in the US and cause further damage to possible current negotiations that might be happening behind closed doors between South Africa and the US. So just to give Ramaphosa the benefit of the doubt, this is a discussion we had as well.
Yes, we can give him the benefit of the doubt, but I say to that, to this example that you have just brought to bear, I say to that, if that was the case, why did the president not reach out to the leader of the DA and say, this is the situation, this thing should not happen, this person of yours wants to do this? Because the other thing that even the president has not dismissed this is that the guy requested for the trip, and the president or the presidency did not respond to that. That is not right. That is
Absolutely.
not right. If I am your line manager, you write to me, I must respond to you, even if I don't agree with what you are intending to do. So the guy was kept in the dark. Now, what does that do? It generates frustration and other things. I think it does affect the psychological makeup. So that, I think, also must be taken into account. But again, I still say, I don't think that is the reason. Because, yes, you must, respect your line manager, this and that. But to me, I think it's a petty issue, to be honest. Even though the DA is also raising other petty issues, but I think it's a petty issue. I would deduce it to these two possibilities that I've explained.
Professor, do you think at this stage there is a chance for Whitfield to be reinstated? He's apologized. And of course, as we say, the fact of the matter is that the presidency's office did not respond to his request. So they too have failed on their part. Is there a chance of him being reinstated and him having been fired? What sort of dynamics does that bring to discussions between the DA and government as a whole, not necessarily GNU, but just the DA with other political parties and directly with Ramaphosa himself?
Yeah. So I say to that, is he going to be brought back? I doubt very much. But the interesting thing is that, like you said, there are other background stories that we are not well aware of, that we are not sure of, that are at play here. Because the ANC seems to be in agreement with the president, which is very interesting. They don't say why. They are also, very diplomatic. But they say, Lula was speaking yesterday in the Eastern Cape. He said, no, we support the president. Even other people who are prominent, Snooki, they say they support the president. So the president has reached out to appease the DA. He has done that to say, listen here, give me another name besides this one. So there must have been something that has really made ANC and yeah, I don't know what it is, but I still say it could be this thing of transfer, because you know how this thing is perceived by the ANC. But of course we don't know whether it was a question of corruption or what.
Okay, two more questions before I let you go. Are we as South African citizens, do we not have the right to know what goes on behind closed doors? We are taxpayers. We are the citizenry. We need to know because I think it's dangerous to leave things hanging in the air, because this then leads to so much of speculation, number one, and loss of confidence in the different political parties and government as a whole.
Yeah, so we have a marriage. We have a marriage with government. That is called the social contract. We voted for the people who hold these positions. People talk about the Constitution. The Constitution says this, the Constitution says that. Two things about that quickly. One, the Constitution doesn't say how it must be interpreted. That's the first thing. The second thing is that all those values and provisions and prescripts in the Constitution, it says so in the Constitution, in the preamble. They are meant to advance national interest. They are not meant to advance self-gratification. It is a bit rude, inappropriate to say that, no, I've made a call to let go of this person, and I don't owe you any explanation. That is not right. Because now it's like you want to make a decision, then you report to yourself. That is not right. That is a bit rude. I'm sorry to say that I'm using a strong word, but that is not right. Because what is democracy? It's nothing else but government of the people, by the people, and for the people. You cannot make a decision and you report yourself. Otherwise, you might as well become God, because now you are substituting God now. You want to report yourself. That is not right.
Governments have to be more transparent. If not, they're going to lose the confidence of the people. Let's wrap up with this final question then. We have touched on it at the beginning of the interview, and that was that the DA have announced its withdrawal from the national dialogue, which is expected to bring citizens together to address corruption, GBV, unemployment, and other social ills. How much of damage do you believe would be caused by the DA withdrawing from these discussions, the national dialogue? Or is this just another talk shop that wouldn't matter either way who attends and who doesn't? Because I'm wondering about inputs, outputs, deadlines, etc., etc., etc.
This question that you're asking is making this now become very complicated because I have a particular view about this national dialogue. But in this context now, I have a particular view. But we're not discussing that in terms of, how it should be and so whether it should be held or not. That's not the issue. I think what you are saying is that in the light of this marriage between these political parties, what would that mean if the other one pulls out? You see, this is a sensitive issue, the issue of national dialogue. There are things that even though you might not agree with, but because, these people are in a marriage. So when the other one now doesn't, it's like people who are married and they say they are married, but they sleep in two separate rooms. Then it begs the question about marriage as it stands. So it's not a good sign of working side by side, as a married couple, So, but the other issue is that now, is that in the bigger scheme of things, this discussion, though even myself I've got mixed feelings about it, but the other element of it is that it feeds into nation building. It feeds to social cohesion. Now you stay away from it. What are you saying now? Because I think if they had said so in the beginning, maybe in the beginning, and say, we are opposed to this thing, and not like now throw their toys out of the brim.
Okay, interesting times ahead. Let's leave it there. Thank you indeed for your input. Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast, political analyst, talking about the DA stance on, of course, the national dialogue and the firing of Deputy Minister Whitfield. Thank you indeed. God bless and go well. 8:32 News and Views moving along. We will join you in a short while once again when we talk with journalist and editor with Kigesi News, and that, of course, is Musingusi Good Luck, and we are going to be talking about the peace treaty or peace deal between the DRC and Rwanda.